to the Operation Self-Reset podcast. And now your host, Jake Naraki.
What is going on, Resetters? Welcome back to Operation Self-Reset, the one only podcast to truly transform the person you are right now to that person you strive, crave, and want to become. Like always, you guys rock. Thank you so much for listening. If this is your first time, make sure to subscribe, leave a review if you have a chance. It would be greatly appreciated. And also, too, it helps out the rankings in iTunes for this podcast so other people can get a hold of it and listen to it and reset their lives, because what good is knowledge if you can't spread it around and have other people access it? So today we have an interview for you guys. His name is Aaron. Love this guy. Awesome story. You guys are going to be blown away by the things that have occurred in his life and the way that he has truly resetted his own personal life. But before we get into the interview, let's go into our quote of the day. I was thinking about adding some type of theme music or some type of like twinkle or flash bulbs popping in the background to kind of get the quote kind of like on a platform of some type. But so kind of hold tight for that. Maybe I'll include some stuff in the future. But today's quote is from William. He is from Brooklyn, New York, and he has a quote that I have personally heard before. Maybe you have or have not, but I think it's such a good one. It's worth repeating. And the quote goes like this: "You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great." And that is from Joe Sabbath. He's a professional speaker. Will, thank you so much for sharing that quote. I think it's so true. You know, a lot of people think you have to have the best equipment. You have to be totally 100% prepared before going into that business or doing that new weight loss program or that transformation of your life. You don't have to be great. You just have to start in a direction, and that direction can start right now. Well, thank you so much for providing that quote. And if you guys listening have a quote that you love or you would love to get it on the podcast here, make sure to send it to ask at osreset.com. Ask at osreset.com. I will get you on the podcast and also put your link, or not a link, but your quote on the Facebook page. Speaking of the Facebook page, last week, Wednesday, I told you that we had 280 people joined up on the Facebook page. Literally, it's Saturday, so it's only a couple of days before the next week, Wednesday. Yeah, that's usually how it works. I guess it's the weeks kind of go in order like that. We already have 380. Can you believe that? You guys rock. Whoever you are that signed up, thank you so much for joining me on the Facebook fan page. If you guys are a part of Facebook and would like to get some great information, some cool videos, some cool quotes, some great pictures that will keep you inspired and on the direction of keeping your life focused on changing and transforming your life, head on over to Facebook and then /OSR fan page. That's all you got to do. Click the like button. And you're in like Flynn. Join the other 380 people. That's awesome. So I know it's only going to grow more and more. So thank you for everybody that joined up so far. And if you have not, I'd love to see you on there. Before we get in the interview, one last thing. If you guys love audiobooks, make sure to head on over to audibletrial.com/OSR to get your hands on some free books. Actually, Aaron and I in this interview speak of a book, and it's by Napoleon Hill. He wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. It's one of the most widely used read books in the world. There was a book that was hidden in his house for like 80 years. Nobody found it for 80 years. It's called Outwitting the Devil, and it's kind of about successes and how to outdo other individuals by just kind of living your life to that next level. And he read it, and he said it was truly inspiring. Now, I have not personally read it, but it's already in my Audible library or whatever. So if you guys want to go check it out, make sure to head on over to audibletrial.com/OSR, and you guys can get that free book for free. So there it is. And one last thing before we dive in the interview, I know I already said that once, but truly it just dawned on me. Thank you so much for everybody that took the survey. You guys can go to osreset.com/survey to fill out a 10-question survey. A lot of you guys have been asking for 30-minute episodes or podcasts. And the reason it is because you feel that your commute is around 30 minutes and you don't want to start and stop it, and then you're not really interested in it anymore. And I appreciate the feedback. So I'm really trying to narrow down some of these interviews. This interview, though, that I'm going to be providing you guys with today is a little lengthy. But I am listening to what you guys are saying, how to improve this podcast. I want to do this for you. I am doing this for you. You need to tell me what I can improve on, how to do things differently, what you like, what you hate. What do you think about this or that? It would be greatly appreciated if you guys could take literally like 10, 15 seconds and take the survey. Well, it takes a little more than that, maybe 3 to 5 minutes. Head on over to osreset.com/survey. This is the last podcast I'll be asking for this survey. After that, I'll be doing all the research, trying to figure out a new way to implement these podcasts after listening to your guys' suggestions, because you guys are my listener base, and I want to make sure that I'm providing the best content for you. So this is the last time for the listeners out there hearing this. If you guys could go to osreset.com/survey to help me out, would be greatly appreciated. And I will improve the podcast upon what you guys suggest, because this is all about and for you. Well, and also for me too. Who am I kidding? I love this interview stuff, and I love providing this content for you guys. So let's dive in the interview for today, and I'll see you on the other side. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today we have Aaron Kennard on the OSR, Operation Self Reset podcast. I met this gentleman. Actually, we connected probably a couple months ago via email through a mutual friend, and it just never worked out. We connected in New Media Expo out in Las Vegas. Great guy, amazing story. I'm so glad to get you on the podcast, Aaron, and you're able to share your story with the world.
Thanks for having me, Jake. Super excited to be here.
No problem. A lot of people probably don't know about you. Maybe they might have seen your book on Amazon, but if you wouldn't mind just giving us a background on kind of who you are and the story that led up to your project that you're working on.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, it's kind of a big story. So let's see where we begin here and let's
begin at birth.
Let's get it. Okay, so we'll begin at my birth. I'll spend about the first 20 minutes through age 20. We'll get to. Oh, I'm just kidding. No, we'll jump into it here. I'll just, who I am. I'm Aaron Kennard. I'm a father of 4. I live in Boulder, Colorado. My kids are young, between 1 and 9 years old, and I just have a really wonderful life. I have plenty of challenges and obstacles like everybody else. And I've found a passion and mission for really helping people live a truly amazing life, which was kind of based off of an epiphany that I had back in 2011. So that's where I'll take you back to from the start. And I'll just run you briefly through the story, and then I'll let you, Jake, ask for more detail if you want.
Perfect.
And so that I don't try to keep me from going too long-winded because it's a big story, and it's actually the subject of the book that you mentioned that I published on Amazon. And so I'll kind of try to give you the brief overview of basically that book and my story and what I'm doing, and so that gives people a context for how maybe our discussion can help them in their life, in their resetting of their life as the kind of the context of your call. So basically what happened to me was I was feeling in 2011 kind of stagnant in work. I was super happy with my life, but I was escaping work to go and be with my family, do my hobbies, because my work wasn't super fulfilling anymore. My business in real estate, I'd kind of gotten really bored with it, and I was just not liking it. It was like I wasn't enjoying waking up and going to work. It was becoming drudgery. And in the fall, I had this sore throat that lasted for about a month, and it led to this epiphany where one night in bed, as I was trying to go to sleep, I was frustrated because I had seen these doctors, the sore throat's not going away, and I decided, you know what? I'm just going to think of 5 things that I'm grateful for when I swallow, because I had this feeling and I had this belief that every adversity brings with it an equal or opposite advantage, which is something Napoleon Hill teaches, and I've read a lot about his stuff. And I was thinking about that. Well, what's the advantage of this pain that won't go away? And so, excuse me, I thought, okay, I'm going to think of 5 things I'm grateful for. And as soon as I did that, I started feeling really good. And then I thought, that's cool. I swallowed, had the pain, thought of 5 more things I was grateful for, and I started feeling really good emotionally. And then it hit me like this massive epiphany that I realized that this pain was going to serve me, that this pain was going to be a reminder to me that I could use the pain, and as long as it was here, it would remind me to express gratitude in my thoughts, which would lead me to feeling really good. And I just had this big awakening that I'm in control of my life and that I can use whatever my circumstances are to my advantage somehow. And it's like I kind of knew that in my life before, but this is a moment where it just all sunk in such crystal clarity from an experience that it just shifted. It made this massive shift in my life to where the next morning I woke up on cloud 9, and I was just like, I looked in the mirror with this pain in my throat. I swallowed, and I was just so happy. I was so thankful for the sore throat, actually, for what it was doing for me emotionally and what it taught me. And then from that day forth,
wait, before we go on, I got a question to kind of to ask you, because when you're thinking about this belief of, thinking positive when you have this pain in your throat, a lot of people don't resonate with that. They don't understand that. Where did you get that mindset from? Where did you get those ideas? Obviously, you spoke of Napoleon Hill and a lot of the techniques that he has written about in his books, but was there anything else? Like, give us a little backstory on where did you get this belief within to try to think positive to reduce pain?
Yeah, so it was from years of just reading books over the years. I go up and down in my times of being kind of like a voracious reader, but I had read Think and Grow Rich and lots of other books. And just recently, right before this experience happened, I had read this most recent book by Napoleon Hill called Outwitting the Devil, which is a fascinating story in and of itself, because the book was not published for like 70 years until after he died, and they finally allowed it to be published. It's kind of controversial. Anyway, I read that book, and that kind of reignited these thoughts. So the root of it is from reading. It's from exposing myself to bigger thinking people, and that was what was kind of like opening my mind to thoughts like this that prepared me for having that epiphany experience. So I think that's a lesson for people maybe right there. Is just, and that's what it was for me, is like, read. It opens your mind. It changes your direction, and it helps you think differently.
I agree with you 100,000%. All right, cool. Just wanted to get everybody up to speed so that they understand, where your background came from in this belief. So
yeah, but it was just really powerful. And so I was saying, like, this shifted me to where, like, every day I woke up on cloud 9 after that. Literally, I was so thrilled to be alive. Like, circumstances didn't matter to me anymore. I realized that everything, my work, all of a sudden became no problem for me. I stopped dreading it because I realized, it's just a circumstance that I can control, I can affect, I can change, and I can do whatever. Like, stop being bored with your life and do something about it. That was kind of like, I don't know, it was just so empowering. And it shifted everything to where all of a sudden over the course of the next number of months, my life shifted from really focusing on real estate to really kind of outsourcing and automating that business, because I felt this strong desire to share these beliefs and these truths with others. I kind of felt called to, like, really take this epiphany that I had and this feeling. I wanted to share that with people and teach people. And I just started feeling like life is really amazing. And so that message just resonated in my mind all the time. And I just realized, what, I need to share with people how to live a truly amazing life like this. And it kind of came down to me writing and creating this poster as a reminder for myself, which turned into what I call now the 12 pillars of a truly amazing life, which is the framework of why my life was all of a sudden so amazing, and the things that were happening that kind of caused that. And I wanted to always remember that. So I turned it into this poster that I created in Photoshop and put it up on my wall. And then I realized that would really benefit other people. So I started selling the poster and started teaching this message. And so kind of that's my trajectory onto this path. But then the story takes kind of a turn for the worse, an interesting twist. And this is where the book came from. And that is...
Before we go, let's go with what are the 12 pillars real quick?
So the 12 pillars, I'll list them off.
Yeah, just list them, yeah.
Poster. And it's create, believe, smile, enjoy, think, succeed, remember, empower, give, grow, and love. And those are the 12 pillars. There's a lot of deep meaning behind that. You can see the poster if you go to trulyamazinglife.com, click on the poster thing. You can actually download it for free, print it out, and that lists kind of the whole thing, so people can get a better visualization of that.
Sure.
But I started teaching this message that literally everything is conspiring for your benefit. That became the root of my kind of how I was living. Like, it doesn't matter what my circumstances are, they are all here for my good. Everything that comes into my life is going to benefit me. I'm going to find the way. And I just truly adopted that belief. And it was at the root, that belief that this is a truly amazing life, that everything is conspiring for your benefit, became the root, like driving force behind this feeling, and behind how to live a truly amazing life, was that one specific belief, like espousing that. And so I started teaching that. Well, on July 28th of 2012, this was about 6 months later after that initial epiphany, and as I was teaching this stuff, my fourth child was born, a daughter. She was born at home, and she was born breech at home, and it was a really intense, stressful day, and everything worked out perfectly, and she was born healthy, and everything was amazing. But the very next day, what that stress and that intensity caused, it triggered an autoimmune disease in my body that suddenly came on super painful the next day and increased in intensity. And over the course of and it's called Crohn's colitis, was the disease that I came to be diagnosed with. But I didn't find that out until like a month and a half later, as my body basically immediately began deteriorating over the course of the next 3 to 4 months. And I started experiencing the most horrendous, horrific pain that you can possibly imagine in my bowels and in my butt. And as my body, my immune system basically was destroying my colon from the inside, and it was like ravaging it. And this just came on instantly, and it was intense, and it was crazy. And the full details of it are in this book of what happened. Probably more details that some people want to know, but it was super intense. But the reason, the thing that happened was, as soon as the pain happened, because I'd been kind of prepared through that previous experience with pain and through what I was teaching, I knew, I absolutely had no question that this pain was here to serve me and bless me, in fact, and to do amazing things. In fact, I fully believe that the harder things are, the more amazing potential there is in it. And I believed that at the time. And so I continued to teach the message, but there became moments where literally I was dying. My family was watching me die. My wife was suddenly like a brand newborn baby and 3 other kids. It was the most intense trial, emotionally and physically and everything, in every way that you can possibly imagine. That it's just like my whole life, it just flipped upside down.
No. How did you get that? Was there any, to this day, is there, was there any rhyme or reason? I know you said, it was very stressful and that could have caused it, or, did the doctors say what was the reasoning?
The doctors, the medical community doesn't give answers on this stuff. It's
sure.
It's kind of unfortunate. The medical community has their ways of viewing and thinking of this thing. And the short answer is the medical community doesn't know the cause of autoimmune diseases, but there are other, parts like in the functional medicine community and there are other things where people do know the underlying causes. It's a complex situation, so there's not an easy answer. Okay. And bottom line is the stress incident triggered the event. The cause of it, they're caused by a buildup of lots of different things. There's genetics involved, there's diet, there's stress, there's lots of different things that cause them. But the triggering event was stress and high intensity events definitely trigger them, because your immune system is building up all these antibodies, and it will then a triggering event will then kind of like unleash and tip the balance of your immune system and unleash it on itself. So that's the brief version of how that happened, but of how that happens. But the bottom line is I was teaching that everything's conspiring for your benefit, and I was dying, and I lost 50 pounds over the course of 3 months, and through a massive suffering on constant daily basis, couldn't hardly even sleep at night, was in a tub for relief all night long. It was crazy stuff. And so there were moments during that extreme torture, basically, where I would look up on the wall and see this poster and try to and think, this is a truly amazing life. Really? Are you sure?
Right.
Where basically every single belief that I taught was thrown up in my face in the most extreme test possible and put to the test. Do you believe this? And I had to question them at so many different moments, but every single time they came back as yes, this is true. And that those beliefs would pull me through kind of time and time again through this process. And I ended up experiencing, because I continued to come back to throughout this process of basically dying and all this crazy stuff, that I continued to come back to, this is absolutely for my good. The whole time I believed that, I was writing about that and kind of blogging about it and journaling. believing that this is absolutely for my good and something amazing is coming, even though I have no way of seeing, and even though I'm in hellish torture,
Right.
I still believe. And because so I basically had the opportunity to test that out through the most horrific circumstances possible. And I knew, kind of going through that I needed that in order to really impactfully share this message with people and say, yes, look, I've been there, I've done that. There's not very many people on earth who can say they've suffered or been through more torturous pain or more harder circumstances than what I went through. And I can tell you without question or hesitation that I didn't consider one of those days as bad, and that all of that was conspired for my benefit, and that holding that belief actually led to healing and lots of miraculous stuff and a lot of actual joy. Like, I experienced so much highs of joy in the midst of all of that pain because of the things that I was thinking, and because of it's hard to describe, but there was immense amounts of joy involved because of believing those things and because of how that did. So that's kind of the essence of what happened to me. And I had this test. The short version to finish that, as far as the story goes, is that my life was saved in October as I had an emergency surgery removal of my colon, which it was totally destroyed. But I didn't really start recovering until about a month later, when I met a naturopathic doctor who told me the truth about food and about what was really going on, because the medical community was basically saying exactly the opposite, like food had nothing to do with it. And so I actually had this miraculous healing experience in December, or the end of November, when I changed my whole diet according to the naturopathic doctor. And 2 days later, all my pain went away. This is like a month after surgery. And I was still like not really recovering, and I was still massive pain and bloating and all this stuff. Anyway, I changed my diet. All the pain went away. And over the next 6-8 weeks, I basically gained all my weight back, had no more pain, no more drugs. The doctors said that I was going to be on drugs and have this chronic disease the rest of my life. And ever since then, I've been healthy, had no drugs at all. I just take natural supplements and eat basically the paleo diet is the short answer of what diet I went to.
Sure.
And now we've had all this, I'm recovered and just fortunate and blessed. And I was able to then have the energy to write that whole story, share, like compiling the blog posts and everything, publish it on Amazon. And now it's a book. It's called The Positive Thinking Secret. And it teaches the essence of these beliefs and how that can benefit your life, to espouse the belief that everything is conspiring for your benefit.
Sure. Let's go back though, to kind of when you were in the hospital and you felt like you wanted to believe in these words, but you didn't know you're questioning it. And that can relate to so many people, because there's a lot of times when, you for religious reasons, we'll just go with this because a lot of people can associate with it. They something tragic, so tragic comes in their life, a passing of a family member or something like that. And they question, why me? Why this time? During that period, you had your belief system in these keywords that helped you along. What were the surrounding people like? Were they agreeing? Were they in shock? Was your wife, totally wiped out from the experience? Did she buy into what you're trying to do to yourself to think positive? Was she questioning, those words too? Like, give me more of a sense of the environment you were in. Was everybody upbeat and they all believed because they wanted you to succeed? Come out of this good.
It was hell.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
It was, to give you more, like, my wife was amazingly strong through this process, but it broke us down in every possible way you can imagine. I mean, it was, and I was not like smiling through the whole thing.
Right.
I was screaming and I was in tears and I was scared many times for my life because I didn't want to die. I didn't want to see my family suffer. My children were suffering emotional trauma from this circumstance, watching me die and having their mother, who was not capable of really taking care of everything, because now she had a dying person to nurse and try to deal with, in addition to a newborn, which is intense enough as it is. So the attention to the other three kids was very limited, and they were suffering from that. Our whole world was rocked, and there was a lot of tears, and there was a lot of challenge and lots of it was kind of like sporadic. Like I would suffer and be in all this pain, and I would have these moments like, no, this is for our good, and I'd have these clarity moments that would strengthen me for the next day of suffering through hell. It'd be like constant like rejuvenation from my beliefs, from just continuing to hold on to this belief and trusting that it's all for my good, and not asking that question. Like I actually wrote many articles about, hey, you know what? You can ask the question, why me? Oh, poor me. And that's just a horrible question to ask. It's not going to benefit you at all because it presumes everything wrong. The actual thing that you should be asking, if you were to think about it, reality would be like, not why me, but thank you. Like this, not why is this pain happening to poor me? Instead, if you look at the reality of the belief, if everything is conspiring for my benefit, and if the harder it is, then the more amazing things are coming, then the only possible answer for me in going through pain is thank you. I am so grateful and privileged to go through this pain, even though I have no clue how I'm even going to get through it. But I know that the fact that I'm going through it means that something absolutely amazing, more than I can possibly imagine, is coming. And I'm going to hold on to that belief. And choosing to believe that way rather than choosing to be victim, like, oh, why me? Why do I have to lose everything? Why do I have to have, when we say those things like, why me? Why is this all these bad things? And we assume things are bad. We're really, I mean, look at the limited perspective on that. You like, if you think it's bad for you, you don't see what the universe, what God, what however you want to see that, has in store 5 years from now. We don't see the big picture. And if we choose to focus on like, oh, how bad it is right now, and rather than saying, no, it doesn't matter how bad this is. In fact, the harder it is, that just means the more amazing thing is coming. We choose to see the opposite. We just sit there and wallow in suffering. If we choose to believe what I just said, then we can take ourselves to a higher plane of perspective and say, even though I don't see the future, I trust and I know that this is absolutely benefiting me somehow, and I leave it at that. I don't need to ask why. I don't need to sit there and wallow in misery.
You know, and that's a really good point. And I personally can understand where you're coming from. Now, obviously, I've never been in the terrible situation that you were in. But, you know, from a gentleman that has not gone through that experience, obviously, I live life. Things come and go in my life. Some are very painful to myself, and even though you have have more pain associated with you, you know, I've gone through personal difficulty, and I think everybody that's listening to
all have, like, just because we don't need to compare.
No, right.
Ourselves. Like literally, any pain you feel is worthy of understanding this principle.
Right.
Everybody can understand this, and everybody deals with it.
And that's what I was trying to say is that, you know, it's cool to hear that, you know, instead of being the victim and why and questioning it and not wanting to be thankful for it and understand that there is a greater outcome of it. You know, once you change that mindset within, it does really give you a different perspective on life. I've gone through some difficulty and trouble, and I've thought exactly the same way, kind of like, okay, this is just, you know, this is part of my story, you know, like, you know, this is fine. I'm going to get through this, you know, and however you want to be, you know, go through it, being grateful or just have that positive mindset that everything will be okay at the end of the storm. Because it will, you know, I mean, you got to think that way. Because if you don't, you're just going to engulf yourself in the pain in that moment, and you're going to shut down, and you're not going to want to fight for what you want to see on the other end of the rainbow there, you know? So,
exactly.
No,
you find some way to see beyond. And whatever belief it works for you, it works for you. And this just happens to be the one that works really well for me. And that, you know, that other people are now saying is working well for them as they read the story, as they implement it.
Sure. Now, crazy story, and let's get out of the bad part into the sunlight here. Let's start talking about the benefits that came out of this moment. You wrote the book. The book is basically telling about your story, the 12 pillars and everything like that. Let's dive a little deeper into the 12 pillars. Do you mind sharing like maybe 3 or 4 pillars that you just feel are your go-to words when things hit you from out of nowhere?
Yeah. The first one, and as I kind of mentioned at the beginning, is as the root and the basis of everything, is the first pillar of just believing that everything is conspiring for your benefit. And so that one is just like this automatic, that's just part of who I am. It's like it literally comes up every day and guides and affects every aspect and decision in my life. Because just for a quick example on that one, we were on the other day coming home from and this stuff happens every day, but like we're coming home from a trip and we missed the ferry boat and we had to wait 3 hours, and we could automatically think, oh, this is so annoying. What a pain. We got to wait 3 hours. We got to sit here, and we could be frustrated. But immediately I think, you know what? That stinks. I don't like it. I wish I was on that boat, like I really do. But I do believe that everything's conspiring for my benefit. I just comes back. That belief automatically comes in. And then I think, I have no clue how me missing that boat is conspiring for my benefit. I have no clue how that's good for me. In fact, everything I can see right now is I would really, really much rather be on the boat, get to our place earlier, not get home so late, blah, blah, blah. Like, so this kind of stuff happens on a daily basis. Right. And this pillar of believe, it literally guides like my whole life. And it affects me positively every day of my life, because in this situation, like right now, I was just explaining in that boat, well, because I chose to believe that, I said, okay, let it go. Obviously we can't do anything about it. And I don't need to know how it's conspiring for my benefit. I don't need to know how it's better that we got on the second boat. And in fact, sometimes even in that moment, it's better not to think of that, because it can be frustrating, because you'd be like, no, there's no way it's better. Like I wanted to be on that other boat. But so I just let it go, and I just trust, and I say, it's okay. Everything's happening for a reason. Everything's conspiring for my benefit. We enjoy the afternoon playing cards as a family. We end up getting on the second boat. And as we're on that boat, this janitor just completely rocked my world. This dude was like doing magic spins with his broom. And this one janitor was like dancing and just like he was so on fire with life that he lifted the spirits of every person on that boat the entire boat ride.
Wow.
Literally the whole boat ride, he did his job changing trash and sweeping while breakdancing, while dancing. And like he had crowds of people gathered around him taking pictures, screaming and yelling. And he just was beaming with life and joy. And he showed me right there in that moment, it was like this amazing witness of how to live life, how to live a truly amazing life, how to live fully. You're a janitor. Yeah, all the other janitors were like walking around with long faces, and this dude was beaming and making everybody's life happy the entire time. And he was absolutely loving his life. And he just showed me this clear example of how to live. And so right then I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful we missed that first boat so that I could witness this janitor. And now it became crystal clear how everything was conspiring for my benefit, and how I found this benefit in the thing that previously was annoying to me. You see, so that right there is just one example, and those things happen every day. And that's the first pillar: believe that everything is conspiring for your benefit, that this is a truly amazing life. Sure. So
yeah, no, I was going to go with the belief thing. With that ferry boat, for example. My thing is, what else do you have to believe in? Are you going to believe negatively and be cursing at the sky? And
what's your alternative?
Right? Yeah, right. Yeah. All right, cool. Let's go into another pillar.
Okay, so another example, and one that I really that I live by, is remember. So on the poster it says, "Remember who you are. Look into your eyes. You will shed tears of joy each time you realize." And that principle of remembering who you are is so foundational to living an amazing life. It's so foundational to happiness and to peace and to so many things. And I see so many people who just don't remember who they are, who are not connected with themselves, who don't feel a love for themselves, who don't have a relationship with themselves. And they just live in suffering because they're constantly seeking for something outside of themselves to be happy, like a friendship. They need people, they need other people, or they need things, because they don't have this contentment within who they are and being just happy to just be with themselves and really having like a love affair with yourself. And I know that sounds weird, whatever, but it's like I I mean, I have this ritual where every morning I speak my truths to myself in the mirror, looking in my eyes, and I tell myself I love you. I have a relationship with myself to where I can look at myself and I can talk to myself and I feel really good about myself and I forgive myself for the mistakes that I make. And I have this dialogue with myself. And, some people might think, oh, you're crazy or this, that. I don't really care what people think because I feel amazing and my life is amazing and I feel content and I'm at peace and I have the ability to go and care for others because I'm not in turmoil with myself, because I regularly check in with myself on a daily basis. It's a ritual. And when I don't do it, I feel myself slip and I feel that connection with myself losing when I don't literally check in and tell myself, I love you, I forgive you, and you're amazing. And I tell myself good things about myself. And I spend that time in quiet solitude in the morning with myself, checking in and just, all of that.
Sure.
That whole principle is probably for me the second most foundational thing beyond believing, and maybe even right up there with it.
What about, I guess, the correlation between that and obviously loving yourself builds up your self-confidence, your self-esteem? Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's the core. I mean, how can you feel positive and confident in yourself if you don't even like yourself?
Right.
I mean, if you can't even, and it's sad to me, and not sad, but it's just my heart hurts for people who can't look themselves in the eye and in the mirror, and many people can't. And I remember back to many times when I couldn't. There's many days when we are ashamed of what we did, or when we just aren't, we do things that we just aren't proud of, or we make mistakes, or we all do these things that we just aren't in alignment with who we know we really are. And so then we hang our head in shame. We can't really look at ourselves. And oftentimes people don't even try to look at themselves. But because I'm in the habit of looking at myself and checking in with myself, I notice when it's harder for me to look at myself. And I know that's the time when I really need to go check in and forgive myself and really say, hey, you know what? Yeah, you screwed up. You did something you didn't want to do. You know what? You're still okay. You're a good person. You're fine. And kind of just being able to go back and forgive yourself and remember who you are, remember how amazing you are, and remember that you are not your mistakes, you are not your failures, but you are a magnificent, amazing being who has so much potential and so much, at the core, love and capabilities and all this stuff that we all have. Remembering that then shifts your ability and gets you out of this suffering in life and gets you back to a place of happiness and peace. So that it's such an important principle.
And going back to that, looking at yourself in the eye, and there's a lot of people that I'm going to use physical attributes to speak of first. You feel like you want to lose weight, but you don't know where to start. And when you look at yourself, you feel disgusted. You just feel that totally worthless, and you just feel, man, I wish I was 20 pounds lighter or whatever. Exactly. If you can't look at yourself in the eye, and if you can't look and say, you know what, today is the day I'm going to change that feeling, and you're going to just stare at yourself, and you're going to start to build that confidence, I think that's where Operation Self Reset really comes into play, is because every moment of every single day, you can look at yourself in the mirror and go, today or this moment, right now, I'm going to start changing for the better. And it's funny because you might see another person, man or female, it doesn't matter, that maybe looks exactly like yourself. And you're thinking, wow, that person could lose 20 pounds too. But yet they are the happiest person, outgoing, energetic. They don't care. They will talk to anybody, do anything, because they have that confidence. If you don't have that as a foundational stake within your own personal life, it doesn't matter what's going to happen or the outcome, because that's just the way that your body gets in tune with yourself. If you're confident with yourself and you're happy, then you don't need to change anything, or maybe just change some things that you want to adjust. But if you're so unable to not look at yourself, that's something that I think, Aaron, you hit on the head, and I want to speak to the people that are listening. Give that a try. Just stand there and look at yourself and believe that you are a great person, that you are good looking, that you have it all together. And maybe you don't, but start believing in that direction.
And tell yourself you're sorry. Say, look, you didn't, you screwed up, whatever. You're here. You ate too much. You lived a certain way. You know what? I forgive you. You're okay. You can let it go. you know what? Quite frankly, I cry a lot when I look at myself in the mirror. And that's why I said you will shed tears of joy each time you realize maybe some people aren't as emotional as me, but I encourage people to get emotional, to allow yourself to be free, to let the tears flow, to let yourself forgive yourself, to let yourself love yourself, and let yourself be emotional. Like, don't bottle up your emotions. There's no need to. It's freeing. It's healthy, and it leads to breakthroughs in your life. It leads you out of being stuck when you can do this stuff.
Yeah, no, and being emotional, I think, is a huge attribute to transform your life, resetting whatever, or just realizing life is amazing. See what I did there? I brought in my title.
I love
it. Because I really feel that once you're able to get emotional with yourself, you're able to be more in tune with your body. And I think that's what a lot of people are lacking, is just being in tune with yourself. And one thing that I actually do, and this might sound really creepy, but I actually get so close to the mirror that I like stare into my own eyeball. And I like almost talk to myself through my eyes. And I feel like that's the only way that I'm truly able to touch like my soul, my internal being. And I get emotional. I get jacked up when I need to be. I get, sentimental and sad and just kind of let it all pour out when things aren't going the way that I wish they were. And it just feels very rejuvenating to myself. Yes. And maybe I'll have to do a video on that to show you how close to the mirror I get. It might be creepy for some, but that works for me. And you just got to find what works for you. And like you said, Aaron, you're hitting on some great points of just finding that clarity with yourself, because that is the fundamental step of just enjoying life overall.
Yeah, good stuff.
So what about we got about 12 minutes left. Let's change gears. I know tell everybody where they can get their 12 pillars, because we're not going to have time to keep going down the line a little bit.
Yeah, you can go, like I said, trulyamazinglife.com, and you can just click to subscribe to the Truly Amazing Daily, which is actually my daily insights on living a truly amazing life. I write about my thoughts on this stuff daily. But you can click that and just get the download. If you don't want to stay on the list, you can unsubscribe. You can just download the poster and have a free copy of it. And you can also actually get right now we're shipping them out for free. You just pay shipping and handling. You can actually get an 18 by 24 inch version if you like it. It's a very motivational poster, and it contains literally these principles that are the essence of how to live amazingly, how to live a truly amazing life. So I encourage you to use them for whatever that helps you with.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and it's laid out really well. It's really cool, very empowering, and it's a really nice piece. Honestly, I know you did this yourself. You did a great job with it. And
I'm not like a designer, but I really, this came out of like months of writing, and it came out of this place where I was in. I just had to compile these into a place of a reminder for myself daily. And so I hope it blesses other people as a reminder too, beyond that.
Sure. Now let's change gears a little bit to the people that are listening. This is obviously called Operation Self Reset, changing the person you are to that person you want to become. A lot of the pillars that you state or have in this poster can truly help people on the path to changing their life. But, you have connected with so many people, not only through the people that read your book, they get inspired, they send you these emails and stuff. Can you tell us a kind of the reoccurring theme or a couple of emails or ideas people are struggling with that you find kind of as recurring time and time again? And what have you told them, or what have you suggested to them to get over those tragedies or those insecurities with themselves? Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, the overriding theme, I ask everybody that gets on my list, I say, please send me, what is your biggest challenge in living a truly amazing life? And what's the number one thing that inspires you? And the people that are taught, when I hear the challenges, so often, there's many different challenges. People unload a lot of their challenges on me, but some of the most common ones are, they're just dealing with negativity. Like they can't seem to kick all these negative thoughts. They feel like they're just like stuck in these negative thought patterns. And anytime something happens, like just negativity bowls them over and causes them to feel horrible. And so just dealing with negativity and the ability to think positively versus negatively is a huge one that a lot of people deal with. And I guess that would make sense since my book is called The Positive Thinking Secret, that attracts people that are dealing with negative thinking. And so that's what I hear a lot about, and the people that want to be able to think positively. And so the thing that I say to help people with that really is everything I've been saying this whole call, which is espouse that belief, the number one pillar, that everything is conspiring for your benefit. That is literally the root of how, that is the secret. If you want to know the secret, you don't have to read my whole book. I'll just tell you right now, the secret is to believe that everything is conspiring for your benefit. So it's like, if you can get that installed in your life, in your subconscious, in your brain, that is the root to stopping the negativity in its tracks and to shifting the gears. Okay, so that's one. Another one that's really common is self-worth, like self-hatred. And that, again, is why I come back to that remember principle. So the things we've been talking about this whole time, the reason I think that those are so foundational, why I talk about them so much, is because that's also what I hear about most. And the things people are struggling with most is they're sad, they don't feel capable or worthy. They don't feel like they have high self-confidence. So negative thinking and low self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence are the two big ones. And on that second one, the thing I teach people, again, everything I just talked about on remembering who you are and getting that relationship with yourself first and foremost.
Sure. Now let's go back to negativity, because that is something that kind of is recurring also in my with a lot of people that email me and give me comments and stuff. I guess the thing is why do you feel negativity? Do you just live with negativity, or should you remove negativity? If I'm hanging out with a group of people and they are toxic to me, but yet I like them, they're fun, they're outgoing, and yet, maybe they don't treat me as well as they should. Maybe they make fun of me more than they should. Should I remove them, or should I go what you're saying, kind of embrace it and believe, that this is supposed to, be part of my path and everything like that? Like, what do you say to somebody like that?
Yeah, it's a kind of a complex issue. Yeah. But I say that meaning, like, it's simple at the beginning. What I said as the foundation is simple. First, you start with that belief. Get that first and foremost. Forget about everything else until you get that belief installed in your head. And I actually created a program, a 30-day, like, I walk people through every day, me reminding them of and teaching them about that. It's called 5-Minute Mental Mastery, of getting that thing installed in your head. But so that's first and foremost and simple. But what you're saying is like, okay, so now what do I do? Now how do I live my life as challenging things happen and people come into my life that are causing me constant negativity? Do I just like say, oh, this is great, this is good for me, keep this around? No, I mean, like, be logical. Why would you want to have negativity that makes you feel horrible? If there's people that are just negative in your life, get away from them. Go by the people as much as possible that are positive. Surround yourself with positive things. And so if you want to be a positive thinker, hang around in environments of positivity. Don't go stick yourself in environments where people are complaining all the time, or you're just going to dig your own grave. I mean, environment is huge. And so you've got to stick yourself in environments. And that's, again, just another reason why getting around you, like people being on your podcast, you're sticking yourself here on an environment that is positive, that's uplifting, and you're not listening to which is degrading. You're not putting yourself in, like, listening to how many people got murdered yesterday. You're putting words of life and positivity into your mind by listening to Operation Self Reset or listening to my podcast, Truly Amazing Life Podcast. These kind of things, you change your environment. Absolutely. You don't just sit there and like embrace the negativity because it's there. Like when I'm sick and I'm dying, I don't sit there and be like, I love it, I'm going to die. Like, I want this pain. Please give me more pain. No, you don't. It's not like we ask for more pain, more negativity. Like, we do everything we can to get out of that. But we also at the same time embrace the fact that if there's a circumstance that's outside of our control, like we're in a family situation where we live with somebody who is super negative and we can't, it's not really feasible to like get rid of our child or whatever because they're our child, like there's things you can't change and you need to embrace and deal with and realize that that's happening for some reason. So it's a balance between, doing what you can with what you have, and then on circumstances you have no real control over, maximizing and embracing that.
Sure. We are running out of time a little bit, and obviously we could go probably for another 3 or 4 days talking about this stuff, because I think you and I connect on a deep level when it comes to this stuff, and we understand the power of it, and that's why you and I are sharing our information and our insights about believing in ourselves and believing that there is a greater outcome. How can people, though, get in contact with you, listen to your podcast, get your book, kind of everything like that?
So again, it's just trulyamazinglife.com. That's the best way to get in touch with me. You can get links over to my book. You can get onto my email list. You can get my poster. You can see whatever's coming up with me. You can get access to our podcast episodes, just everything. Just go over to trulyamazinglife.com and get connected up over there. And that's definitely the best way to get in touch.
All right. And the last question I have for you, what does self-reset mean to you?
It's a good question. Let me think for a second. Yeah, for me, when I think about that, when I hear that, I think of that as kind of a daily thing. Like every day, I'm going to push the reset button. And I think it's a beautiful opportunity that we wake up. We have the opportunity to install whatever beliefs we want that day and decide how we're going to live that day. And so for me, I kind of feel like I do that on a daily basis. And I think that kind of lines up with when I teach people what it means to live a truly amazing life. Some people think it's like a one-time reset and now you're a new person and everything's hunky-dory. What I don't believe that. I believe, we can have these epiphanies and we can have these changes, but it's a daily thing that we need to reset, that we need to constantly check in, that we need to constantly, empower ourselves daily. Because if we don't, then it's like all these viruses will show up, and we just need to be constantly operationally resetting ourselves. That's the way I look at it.
There you go. Perfect. Aaron, well, it's been an honor. I'm going to have to get you back on here. We're going to have to connect again. I appreciate your time, and thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Jake. It's been awesome.
Thanks again to Aaron for coming on the podcast. Truly an amazing story. I mean, for a guy that's still positive, energetic, grateful, and thankful and everything, I mean, think to yourself, if you went through that, would you be in such a positive state of mind if that was you? Maybe not, or maybe. I mean, that's where we want to get. That's the reason for this podcast, and the reason for everything that I'm providing to you guys is to get a different outlook on life. When things come in your face and when things hit you and take you to your knees, literally, the best way to come out of it is like Aaron, to be positive and to feel like, you know what, that's part of my journey. I'm going to keep pressing forward. It makes me take a second and really analyze my life and realize what's important to me and press forward. And if you guys want to get in contact with Aaron, I hope you do. I hope you get his book. It's called The Positive Thinking Secret. If you want to get on his email list, you want to just get in contact with Aaron, head on over to osreset.com/positive thinking. There, you guys will find everything that we talked about in today's interview, the books, the links, how to get that poster for free, everything like that. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks again to Aaron. Awesome interview. Greatly appreciated. I also have been listening to you guys about those surveys, and I'm going to start separating my little motivational speech at the end of each episode into, it's called Motivational Minutes. I'm actually going to start launching them on Thursdays morning, so you guys can get a little tidbit of a little motivation to get yourself inspired, take action, and do something different for that day and leading into the weekend. You guys rock. Thank you so much. Without you, there would be no podcast. If you guys have any questions or concerns, if you have a question for me directly, if you want to know something that's going on and that's really eating away at you and you just don't know what to do, please email me, ask@osreset.com. I'll make sure to get an email back to you as soon as I can. A lot of you guys have been emailing me, and I love it. I really do appreciate you guys opening up and sharing the very personal stories that are going on with you, and I hope to keep on bringing on some very interesting people to help you get past those hurdles, those things that are holding you back within your own personal life. So that being said, thanks again, and look forward to Motivational Minutes, which will be released tomorrow morning, Thursday morning, bright and early, around 4 a.m. So you don't have to get up that early. It'll already be downloaded on your phone or computer or whatever. So look forward to that, and we will catch you next week, Wednesday, with another great episode of Operation Self Reset.
Thanks for listening to the Operation Self Reset podcast. Find out more ways to reset at www.osreset.com.